The sun hung low over Konoha, casting long shadows across the village as the evening breeze rustled through the leaves of the Hokage monument. Naruto Uzumaki stood atop the stone head of the fourth Hokage, his orange jacket flapping behind him, his blue eyes scanning the horizon with a mix of determination and unease. Something felt off, an unsettling tension in the air that even the cheerful hum of the village below couldn't dispel. He clenched his fists, his fingernails digging into his palms as he recalled the recent whispers among the shinobi, strange disappearances, eerie visions haunting the villagers, and reports of a shadowy figure lurking in the forest. Beside him, Sasuke Uchiha leaned against the monument's carved hairline, his arms crossed, his Sharingan flickering briefly as he analyzed the distant tree line. "You feel it too, don't you?" he muttered, his voice low but sharp. Naruto nodded, his usual grin absent. "Yeah. It's like the village is holding its breath." Sakura Haruno, standing a few steps behind them, tightened the straps of her gloves, her emerald eyes narrowed in focus. The hospital's been flooded with patients complaining of nightmares, visions of a distorted Konoha, overrun by something they can't describe. Before any of them could speak further, a guttural growl echoed from the forest's edge, followed by a ripple of chakra so thick it made the air tremble. A monstrous figure emerged, tall, skeletal, its body wreathed in a swirling miasma of dark energy. Its hollow eyes locked onto them, and in an instant, it lunged. Naruto reacted first, forming a Rasengan in his palm, the spiraling energy humming violently as he met the creature midair. The impact sent shockwaves through the clearing, but the beast barely staggered, its clawed hand slashing toward Naruto's throat. Sasuke intercepted in a blur of motion, his Chidori crackling as he drove it into the monster's ribs, forcing it back with a snarl. Sakura darted forward, her fist encased in chakra-enhanced strength as she delivered a crushing blow to its jaw, sending it skidding across the ground. The creature hissed, its body twisting unnaturally before reforming, its wounds sealing shut as if they'd never existed. "Regeneration?" Sasuke muttered, his Sharingan tracking the rapid shifts in its chakra network. "No, it's like it's rewriting its own existence." Naruto gritted his teeth, his whisker marks darkening as Kurama's chakra surged through him, cloaking him in a fiery aura. "Then we hit it harder." He launched forward, a barrage of shadow clones appearing in his wake, each one hurling Rasengans at the creature. The explosions lit up the night, but the beast merely laughed, a sound like grinding bones, before its form split into three identical figures, each one lunging for a different target. Sasuke's Mangekyo spun to life, Amaterasu's black flames erupting around one of the clones, but the fire dissipated as the creature phased through it like smoke. Sakura barely dodged a swipe aimed at her chest, countering with a devastating kick that cratered the ground beneath them. "We need to find its weakness," she shouted, sweat beading on her forehead. The creature's grin widened, its voice a distorted whisper. "Weakness? You are the ones trapped in the dream." Suddenly, the world around them wavered, Konoha streets twisted into grotesque parodies of themselves, the sky bleeding crimson. The trio staggered as their senses reeled, the creature's laughter echoing from all directions. Naruto roared, his chakra flaring as he pushed back against the illusion, his nine tails cloak burning brighter. "This isn't real." Sasuke's Rinnegan pulsed, his Susanoo skeletal form beginning to manifest around him. "It's playing with our minds." The creature lunged again, but this time, Naruto was ready. With a thunderous clap, he unleashed a massive Rasen Shuriken, the spiraling disk of wind and chakra slicing through the beast's torso. For a moment, it seemed to work, the monster screamed, its body fracturing like broken glass, but then the pieces reformed, darker, larger, its eyes now glowing with a malevolent intelligence. "Foolish child," it hissed. "You cannot destroy a nightmare." And with that, the ground beneath them gave way, plunging them into darkness. The air in Konoha crackled with tension as dark clouds swallowed the sky, casting the village in an eerie twilight. Naruto Uzumaki stood at the center of the battlefield, his breath ragged, his orange jacket torn from relentless combat. Across from him, the enemy, cloaked in swirling shadows, grinned, their crimson eyes gleaming with malice. "You've grown stronger, Naruto," the figure taunted, their voice dripping with contempt, "but it won't be enough." Naruto clenched his fists, his nails digging into his palms. He could feel Kurama's chakra surging within him, a tempest of raw power begging to be unleashed. "I won't let you destroy Konoha," he growled, his voice steady despite the exhaustion weighing on him. With a burst of speed, he lunged forward, his body wreathed in golden flames as he entered Kurama mode. The enemy barely had time to react before Naruto's fist collided with their jaw, sending them skidding back through the rubble. But the fight was far from over. The shadowy figure straightened, their form flickering like a dying flame before solidifying again. "Cute trick," they sneered, raising a hand. Dark tendrils erupted from the ground, lashing out like vipers. Naruto dodged, flipping midair, but one tendril grazed his arm, searing his skin with an unnatural cold. He hissed in pain but didn't slow down, weaving hand signs with practiced precision. Wind style, Rasen Shuriken. The spiraling sphere of chakra screamed toward the enemy, detonating in a deafening explosion that sent shockwaves rippling through the battlefield. Dust and debris obscured the impact zone, but Naruto's senses remained sharp. He could still feel their chakra, stronger than before. The smoke cleared to reveal the enemy standing unscathed, their body now encased in a shell of pulsating dark energy. "You'll have to do better than that," they mocked, before vanishing in a blur. Naruto barely had time to raise his arms in defense before a crushing kick sent him hurtling into a crumbling building. Pain flared through his ribs, but he forced himself to stand, his mind racing. This wasn't just brute strength, this enemy adapted, learned, countered. He needed a new strategy. Nearby, Sasuke Uchiha fought his own battle, his Sharingan spinning furiously as he parried a flurry of kunai with his sword. His opponent, a twisted reflection of himself, mocked his every move. "You're predictable, Sasuke," the doppelganger jeered, activating his own Mangekyo Sharingan. "You always rely on the same techniques." Sasuke's jaw tightened. He knew this was a mind game, but the word stung. With a snarl, he channeled lightning through his blade, thrusting forward with blinding speed. The clone barely dodged, but Sasuke wasn't done. Amaterasu. Black flames erupted, engulfing the imposter, who let out a shriek of agony before dissolving into smoke. But Sasuke didn't celebrate, he knew more would come. Back with Naruto, the enemy had shifted tactics, now summoning spectral warriors from the shadows. They moved in unison, their attacks synchronized, forcing Naruto on the defensive. He gritted his teeth, feeling Kurama's voice echo in his mind, "You're holding back, kid. Let me out fully." Naruto hesitated, he hated losing control, but with Konoha's fate hanging in the balance, he had no choice. "Fine," he muttered. "Let's do this." His body erupted in a torrent of red chakra, his form twisting as Kurama's full power took hold. Bones and muscle stretched, his features sharpening into something more beast than man. The enemy's eyes widened, this was unexpected. Naruto roared, a shockwave of energy flattening the spectral warriors in an instant. He charged, his movements a blur, claws slashing through the dark energy shielding his foe. The enemy staggered, their confidence wavering for the first time. But they weren't done yet. With a desperate snarl, they plunged their hand into their own chest, drawing forth a writhing mass of black chakra. "If I can't have Konoha," they spat, "then no one will." The energy swelled, threatening to detonate like a bomb. Naruto's heart pounded. He had seconds to act. Drawing on every ounce of strength, he reached deep, merging his chakra with Kurama's completely. His body glowed with an ethereal light as he formed a massive Rasengan, infused with nature energy. "This ends now," he bellowed, slamming the attack into the enemy's core. The resulting explosion lit up the sky, a blinding pillar of energy that shook the earth. When the light faded, Naruto stood alone, his body aching, his breath heavy. The enemy was gone, vanquished. But at what cost? Around him, Konoha lay in ruins, smoke rising from shattered buildings. Sasuke appeared at his side, his expression grim. "We won," he said quietly. Naruto nodded, but his eyes were haunted. "Yeah. But what's left?" The battle was over, but the nightmares were just beginning. The air in Konoha crackled with the weight of impending doom as Naruto and Sasuke faced the monstrous fusion of their greatest fears, a grotesque amalgamation of Kurama's rage and the Ten Tails' chaos, its maw dripping with chakra that corroded the earth beneath it. The village lay in ruins behind them, the last vestiges of their home crumbling like ash in the wind. Naruto's fists clenched, his knuckles white, his usual grin replaced by a snarl of determination. "This ends now," he growled, his voice raw with exhaustion. Sasuke's Sharingan whirled, his Rinnegan pulsing as he assessed their enemy's movements. "No more holding back," he agreed, his tone icy but laced with something deeper, regret, resolve, the weight of every mistake that had led them here. The beast lunged, its massive claws tearing through the sky, but Naruto was already moving, a golden blur of Nine Tails chakra meeting the strike head-on. The impact sent shockwaves through the battlefield, the ground splitting beneath their feet as Naruto skidded back, his arms trembling from the force. Sasuke seized the opening, his Susanoo flaring to life, a skeletal giant wreathed in violet flames. He slashed downward, the blade carving a gash across the monster's chest, but the wound sealed instantly, tendrils of dark chakra knitting flesh back together. Damn it, Sasuke hissed, sweat beading on his brow. They were running out of time. Naruto felt Kurama's voice in his mind, strained but defiant. We need to go further than before, kid. Even if it burns us both out. Naruto swallowed hard. He knew what that meant, total exhaustion, maybe worse. But there was no choice. With a roar, he unleashed every last drop of chakra, his form blazing brighter than the sun as the Nine Tails cloak expanded into a towering avatar, matching the beast's size. Sasuke, now. Sasuke didn't hesitate. His Susanoo merged with Naruto's chakra construct, their powers intertwining into a single, unstoppable force, a fusion of light and shadow, creation and destruction. The beast recoiled, sensing the shift, but it was too late. Naruto and Sasuke surged forward, their combined attack a blinding storm of Rasengan and Chidori, amplified beyond anything they'd ever achieved. The collision was cataclysmic. Reality itself seemed to fracture as the two forces clashed, the shockwave leveling what remained of the battlefield. For a moment, there was only silence, a vacuum of sound and motion. Then, the beast let out a final, ear-splitting shriek as its form disintegrated, its chakra scattering like embers in the wind. Naruto dropped to his knees, his vision swimming, his body screaming in protest. Sasuke wasn't faring much better, his Rinnegan flickering as he struggled to stay upright. But it was over. The aftermath was a haze of exhaustion and relief. Sakura's healing chakra washed over them, her hands trembling as she poured everything she had into keeping them alive. "You idiots," she whispered, tears streaking through the dirt on her face. "You almost died." Naruto managed a weak grin. "Yeah, but we won, right?" Sasuke didn't smile, but the tension in his shoulders eased, just slightly. Around them, the surviving villagers emerged from the wreckage, their eyes wide with awe and gratitude. The battle had changed everything, not just the landscape, but the future. The alliance between nations, once fragile, had been reforged in fire. The scars would remain, but so would the lessons. As the sun rose over the shattered but defiant Konoha, Naruto knew one thing for certain. Their dreams had been tested, twisted into nightmares, but they had clawed their way back. And that was enough.